Welcome to the training for Chapter 9, Serving Traditional Foods. This training is presented by the Oregon Department of Education's Child Nutrition Program, also known as ODE-CNP. This training will cover the definition of traditional foods, crediting traditional foods, including using the food buying guide, creditable meat and meat products, and meal pattern flexibility for substituting vegetables for grains and non-creditable traditional foods. After this training, we hope that you will know the resources available for crediting different types of traditional foods and that you will understand how to implement the flexibility on substituting a vegetable for the grains component. Traditional foods can be defined as traditional indigenous food items prepared and consumed by Native American or Indian tribes. This includes a wide variety of foods that can include wild game meat, fish, seafood, plants, berries, and more. Many traditional foods can contribute to the CECFP meal pattern. To determine crediting, sponsors can refer to the Technical Assistance Memo TA01-2024 titled Crediting Traditional Indigenous Foods in Child Nutrition Programs. This memo provides detailed guidance with definitions and examples. Another great resource includes the Food Buying Guide. The Food Buying Guide is the main USDA resource for determining creditable portions for food items from all meal components. There are multiple tools, and the food item search function will be the most helpful in determining what foods are creditable and how to credit them. Crediting information is also known as yield data. There are yield data available for many traditional indigenous foods such as huckleberries, bison, venison, and canned steelhead trout. Since traditional foods cover a broad array of foods, many foods are not yet listed in the Food Buying Guide. However, they can be credited using similar foods. For example, blue cornmeal will credit in the same way as standard cornmeal. Wild plums will credit the same as other whole stone fruit, and red sockeye salmon will credit the same as canned non-smoked salmon. Here you can see a sample yield data for huckleberries. When completing a food item search, a list of matching food items show up, and when you click on one of them, it provides you with a listing that has the following information. First, it provides you with information on what meal component the food item credit towards. In this case, huckleberries will credit towards the fruit component. It will also include categories and subcategories which are not important for CECFP, along with the name of the food as purchased. If you wanted to figure out how many portions of minimum servings you can get from 1 pound of this item, you can look at the purchase unit, servings per purchase unit EP. This stands for edible portion, and the serving size per meal contribution. Looking at this, you can see that 1 pound of huckleberries will equal 10 servings of a quarter cup of raw fruit. If you wanted to figure out how much huckleberry you will need to buy to get 100 quarter cup servings, then you would look at the purchase units for 100 servings, and in this case, you would need 10 pounds of fresh huckleberries. Next to the additional information box, you can see 1 pound AP, which stands for as purchased. This will equal 1 pound or about 2.5 cups of ready-to-serve raw wild huckleberries. This is just additional information that may make it easier to calculate out how much to serve. New traditional food items are being added each year onto the Food Buying Guide, so save this resource. For meat and meat products, all items that fall into this category must be USDA inspected for CECFP. Uninspected game meat is not allowed to be served in child nutrition programs. While the 2014 Farm Bill allowed the donation of traditional game meats to bypass state or USDA inspection, Oregon state law requires donated game meat to be inspected by the State Department of Agriculture, State Department of Fish and Wildlife, or the Department of State Police. In April of 2024, USDA released a final rule updating the meal pattern to reflect the 2020 to 2025 dietary guidelines for Americans. The final rules included a flexibility for substituting vegetables for grains for certain sponsors. Who can use this flexibility? This flexibility can only be used by institutions or facilities that serve primarily American Indian or Alaska Native participants, meaning that it applies only to those whose largest demographics served are American Indian or Alaska Native participants. How do you implement this flexibility? To credit vegetables for the grains component, keep the following information in mind. Sponsors can use any creditable vegetable for this flexibility, and there are no limits on the number of times vegetables can be substituted for grains. The flexibility will apply to all age groups, including the infant meal pattern. It is important to remember that the vegetables used to credit the grains component will not credit for both the grains and vegetable component. You will need two different vegetables with one vegetable crediting for the grains component and one vegetable crediting for the vegetable component. For portion sizes, half a cup of vegetables or 1 cup of leafy greens will substitute for a 1 ounce equivalent of grains. When you are substituting for the grain component, the vegetables will count towards the once per day whole grain rich requirement. What does substituting a vegetable for a grain look like in a CACFP lunch or supper? Here you have a sample CACFP lunch or supper with fluid milk, blueberries, grilled cheese sandwich, and broccoli. An example of substituting the grains with the vegetable might look like removing the grilled cheese sandwich and replacing with some cubed cheese and some cherry tomatoes. All the other components will stay the same. Sponsors who would like more information on implementing this flexibility can refer to the CACFP Memo 03-2025, Substituting Vegetables for Grains in American Samoa, Guam, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and tribal communities. There are some traditional foods that may not be creditable, such as acorn or fry breads. Acorns are not creditable since they do not contain enough protein and would not be considered a creditable meat alternate. The fry breads would not be creditable if they are deep fried or if they were made with non-enriched or non-whole grain flour. Non-creditable traditional foods still serve an important educational and cultural purpose and can be served as bonus foods or as part of taste tests and educational activities. It is important to note that bonus foods will need to be paid with non-CACFP funds. In this training, we have covered the definition of traditional foods, how to credit traditional foods, including using the food buying guide, looking at creditable meat and meat products, and understanding the meal pattern flexibility to substitute vegetables for grains. We finished up by looking at some non-creditable traditional foods. ODE supports equity and excellence for every learner. This institution is an equal opportunity provider. Thank you for taking this training.